Okay, welcome back to part 2 everyone. In part 1 we painted this lovely sky and distant hills using nice simple easy techniques. So I'm going to carry on and do this right hand side of the painting here, and I might come down then and do some of this as well. And we leave the reflections to last because I want to keep the best to last. Okay, I want to do some nice reflections, take my time, and get them looking somewhat nice, somewhat decent. So let's concentrate now on just getting, progressing down slightly a little bit on the painting. Okay, my colours, in case you don't know already, my colours are titanium white, Naples yellow, phaylo blue, alizarin crimson, burnt sienna, cadmium red, cadmium yellow pale, burnt umber and black. Now I have these colours left here since the last time I was painting part 1. These are here now a couple of days, so they're gone a little bit kind of rubbery around the outside of the paint, some of them. Most of them are okay. You just break through and it's soft inside. That's the great thing about oils. That's why I love painting with oils. Now I'm just going to top up my turpentine. I have some turpentine here and I put some linseed oil into it. Just a few drops of linseed oil. Now you can, if you like, just use linseed oil on its own. It'll stay much wetter on the canvas, it'll move around much nicer on the canvas, but it will be very, very oily. Just bear that in mind, okay? It'll be very slippery. So I think the turpentine is better with just a little drop of linseed oil in it. Now, let's go on up here. Do you want me to zoom in to that corner up there for you? Let me zoom in slightly. There we go. A little bit more. Okay, that's good. Is that good? You can see the reference photograph there. I don't know if it's up on top or down the bottom. I'm not sure which. But as long as you can see the reference photo, that's all that matters, isn't it? Right. I'm excited about this, everyone. I'm excited about getting going with this. What I want to do is, just with a very small pointing brush, I'm going to dampen it and take some cadmium yellow with a little white, okay? And I just want to go off into the distance over here. I don't know if you can see that. You can. Can you see what I'm doing here? I just want to go off here and add a little hint of some light, just here and there, on some of those trees. The sun is kind of going down slowly and catching just the very tips of some of those trees. And I might even, with a little sienna and some white, I might just add a little light coming across the landscape there off in the distance, okay? Just a little. And then soften it across your finger, look, like that. Just want to create some light over there, far off. Now, moving on to this side here. I'll start now with just giving this a kind of a general colour all the way across, yes? So I'm going to take my medium flat brush. You can use your medium stubby as well, actually. I'll use that. I'll dampen that with some turpentine and I'll give it a quick dry. I'll take, it's a kind of a sienna, it's a warm sienna. I'm going to take some sienna and I'm going to take some crimson and I'm going to take a hint of burnt umber. Now I'm going to break through the layer, the top layer of paint, look, just to get into that paint underneath. Where am I? There I am. So I'll take burnt umber, some sienna, I'll take perhaps a touch of black, a tiniest little touch of black, and I'm going to go up there and just start filling in. Now, okay, that may be a bit dark. Let's take a hint of Naples yellow. The Naples yellow will lighten that nicely then. If you use white, it might just become a little bit too pale and a bit too chalky. The Naples yellow is a nice colour for lightening these kinds of colours. So come down like that now, like so. And let's just kind of fill this in. Not all the way, but some of the way. I'm just going for that kind of sienna colour that's off up there in the distance. And let's go right across here all the way up. Now, on the photograph it looks very straight, doesn't it, with little dots on top. I'm not sure if I like that. I might add a little bit of a wiggle here and there just on top, alright? In fact, I may even soften it into the sky and create a bit more of a misty kind of a feel. Wouldn't that be nice, actually? You see, we're changing already as we go. That's what you want to do. You know, use your imagination. Let's imagine. Okay, how about this? One moment now. Let me just think about this. Let's imagine, right, that if I take a clean, soft brush, if I take a little bit of white, a dry brush with a hint of white now, look, okay? Just a hint of white. How about we imagine that there's a mist coming along up here and it's softening down into the hill. How about that? Let's imagine there's a lovely kind of a mist. Now clean your brush on some tissue with turpentine, okay, just to keep it nice and clean. Let's get some more white down into that. I think this might look quite nice now when it's finished. Now I'm just going around a few times and then I'm cleaning my brush in turpentine and drying it on tissue, okay? So it's nice and dry again. Then pick up more white again, and I'm now going to just kind of soften this up into the sky. So we'd imagine now that this is kind of getting softer up into the sky and it's disappearing and kind of creating this lovely mist. So I just need my soft blender brush. Now my blender brush is not soft anymore. It's gotten quite firm on the tip because there's so much paint on it, but that's good. I'm going to just soften all of this now up into the sky. Look, how about that? And my sky colours are still a little sticky. It's not 100% dry, it's a little bit sticky. So you can still sort of soften it up into the cloud just a little. You see what I mean? How's that now? That's not bad, is it? So if we go with this kind of a misty effect, like so. Just sit back now and take a look at this. That's not half bad now, is it? It's not too bad. We'll run with it and we'll see how it goes. Okay, let's continue on now and let's put in some slightly lighter colours as we come down. I'm going to take some sienna with some Naples yellow and I'm going to kind of push some of that in here. A little drop of turpentine might not be any harm. I'll take a little hint of yellow as well with some white, look, because we have a very nice light kind of a patch, don't we? And again, I don't want to copy this exactly, but I just want to get the general feeling of that painting. And we'll soften it down into this landscape over here, look. So it then merges and becomes one. Now, let's kind of soften this a little bit up here. Soften those two together. Around in little circles, that's all. Nice and simple. Let's see if we can kind of create something nice now on this side, yes? You know, we don't have to copy the painting, the photograph exactly. We can just use it as a reference photograph, can't we? It's only a reference. Now, I've taken some black and some yellow. And I'm just putting a hint of a green through there. Nice green. It's a light green. And what I'm going to do now for a dramatic kind of eye-catching thing, I'm going to take a dry flat brush, I'm going to take a hint of black, just a hint, and some crimson and some burnt umber. Now you see that very, very dry colour. I only have a little. I'm going to come over here now and I'm going to put a nice dark edge along over here. Because I just want to add a little hint of a real rich dark colour kind of coming down, especially coming down into the valley where it may not be catching the light so much. Just kind of soften it down and even up there as well. You see, I'm just kind of flicking the brush, downward movements, that's all the way along, look. Now, okay, let's see how we're looking. I might take a hint of burnt umber actually and go down here with a hint of burnt umber, just here and there, just to give it a nice dark edge. You see, it's just little marks with the brush. It's not like I'm trying to paint, You know, I'm not trying to paint individual trees and all that kind of thing. It's just to allow the mind to fill in the blanks. Do you understand what I mean? So look, I'm just putting little hints of colour here and there, and the mind is filling in the rest of the colours. It's kind of telling you what you're looking at. Do you understand? So you can see what I mean now. And we had that lovely mist then up in this corner up here. Now let's get some trees and stuff like that up here as well, because as you can see there's lots going on. So I might try and get some trees up there. So a damp brush. Just now when I say damp brush, I'm dipping it in my turpentine and I'm drying it well on my tissue. And it's not completely dry. Do you understand? So I'm going to take some black, some cadmium yellow pale. That gives us a very rich dark green, doesn't it? A very rich landscapey kind of a green. And let's just go up here and put in a suggestion of some trees, okay? Now I need to go darker than that, that's not dark enough. More black. I like to start with the dark colours first when I'm doing trees like this. I might even take a hint of blue. I know that's going to make it cold, but it'll also darken it somewhat as well. Okay, so let's just put in a hint of trees. And I'm just basically holding my flat brush on edge, look, and I'm going up at an angle like that. Again, it's just an impression, that's all. It doesn't have to look exactly like what you're painting. Dab it off up into the mist then, look. So it disappears. And let's put a couple more along here. You can see when you look at the reference photograph there, it's just like little trees dotted around the place, isn't it? That's all it is really. It's just an impression of little trees, that's all. Up in the hill. And I'm kind of coming down at an angle as well to show you the direction of the hill also. You see what I mean? Now we can add a couple of little light spots up in that hill as well. So I do my brush a quick clean and I take some cadmium yellow pale, a little hint of Naples yellow, and I'm going to just kind of put a couple of flicks to suggest some light parts of the grass up there. Go a little bit lighter. Let's take Naples yellow, little white, and a little cadmium yellow. Ah, that's nicer now, isn't it? I'm just suggesting some of that here and there. Again, I'm softening it up into the mist. And I create that nice soft kind of look where it goes off into the distance, disappears off. Now I might create some really bright spots with some cadmium yellow, a little hint of sienna, and I might just kind of put a couple of flicks of bright colour just here and there at the bottom, okay? Now, okay, let's stop now and just take a quick look at that. Yeah, I'm fairly happy with that. Now I am going to add a couple of lights on the trees. Okay, I am going to add a few lights. I think the trees need a couple of little light spots. So I might just I might try a fan brush. Let me see now. You see, with this you really need a kind of, do you know what, I won't. I'll try my flat. I'll give my flat a quick rinse and good dry, and what I want is a nice point on the tip of my brush. So let's get some cadmium yellow, little white, that might even do, and I want a nice kind of a point on my brush. I don't want it too splayed out, okay? And let's try and get some light on some of these trees. You see, I'm just kind of going down along the edge of one side of each tree. Okay? It's just giving a little hint of light, that's all. It's not too fussy. I don't want to be too particular with all of this. But I do want to add a little highlight just to some of them, okay? And especially the ones in the dark over here. And that will really bring them to life now, won't it? Okay, now that's good enough. That's alright. That's all we need. Again, it's just kind of a nice impression over there. Now I will I will add some nice dark row of trees along the bottom, and for that I'm going to take some black, some cadmium yellow and some burnt sienna. Now a tiny drop of thinners in this, okay? It's just to thin it out slightly. I'm just going to go along and put a little row of trees just along here and there. Now I know there's not a solid row of trees over there, but a lot of this will kind of disappear into the background as well. Now even take some sienna with Naples yellow, because you can see there's a kind of a browny colour going on over there as well. This is just really kind of to act as a separation and kind of ground. It kind of brings the mountain, it sits the mountain down. It sits, do you know what I mean? It sits everything down nicely. Now what I'm going to do next, put that brush down. I'm going to take my other flatter brush and then I'm going to just put a nice bright spot across there. I'm going to try some burnt sienna with Naples yellow. I think we'll try that for now. Nice warm colour. And let's just push that through. Now again, you see, you're working wet into wet, so you're going to be catching those dark colours. So just give a brush a quick clean every now and again and pick up a little hint of, you look, even Naples yellow, just on its own. And it's just to give a finishing edge along there. You see what I mean? That's all. A nice little finish. And we could even, with our pointy brush, put a nice dark finish across there. Then with some burnt umber. On its own, just some burnt umber, nothing else. You see, that just kind of finishes off the edge nicely, doesn't it? And we could then, with that colour even, just add a couple of little details here and there. So you could imagine that there's little bits of this, little bits of that going on over there. Bits of trees. It could be anything. It's soft. This is very far. This could be half a mile away, so you're not going to see much. But it just adds a little interest to the painting, that's all. You see what I mean? And perhaps even a hint of a little black here and there. There, isn't that lovely? Now how about we add a little white, just to suggest a little house way off in the distance. How's that? Just little things that are going on. Do you understand? There's lots of little things going on off in the distance here. It doesn't particularly look like anything, but it does add that little touch of interest to the painting, doesn't it? I think it does. Now, there we go, and I won't overdo it, okay? I will leave it just nice and subtle and simple. Right, I think that is that side almost finished. I mean, we're pretty much finished with that side. I don't think there's anything else I need to do. I perhaps maybe could soften just a little bit more up here into the sky. So you can see what I've done. I've still kind of retained the general shape of the hill, but I've kind of softened it right out as well. Isn't that lovely? And even come down the hill as well a little bit, look. I'm using my dry brush here to kind of move the paint around slightly. There. Now. So now we have a lovely kind of a mist off up there in the landscape. Okay, right. Let's move on over to the other side. Let me move this around down to the other side. Let me zoom back slightly. I hope you can see all of this here now. There, isn't that better? You can see much better now, can't you? Okay, moving along. Excuse me, I must take a sip of my juice here. Because my throat is very dry, very, very dry. We have some trees and stuff like that coming up here, don't we? Let's try and get some of that in. Let's try and get some foliage going up here. I'm going to take my large stubby brush. It's very worn, okay? Let me show you here on the palette. Can you see it? It's very, very worn. And that's what you want in the stubby brush. It takes a couple of uses for the brush to get really worn like this. But that's what I like. Now, dampen it slightly. Let's go for a dark kind of a green. Perhaps even a bit of burnt umber in there as well. And let's just... all I'm doing here now is kind of blocking in some of this kind of tree area. It's very, very kind of heavily foliaged, isn't it? Now I may even just go with some burnt umber with a hint of black, because I want this dark so I can add in little highlights then later. So I'm just going to dab at the corner of my brush now, down. I'd fill that area in there actually with some burnt sienna, burnt umber and a hint of black. Right, I mean by right I should have probably just covered this with a dark tone earlier on in the painting and allowed it then to kind of sit for a while. But it's okay, no harm done. I'll just go over a kind of a nice warm colour, just for that. And we go back in again. I could take some naples yellow in that, because it's nice and quite light in the centre, isn't it? when I'm painting this, when I'm looking at the colours, you see, I'm thinking about the dark side of all of those colours. So I can see there's a kind of a very light fawny straw kind of a colour in the centre here. So I'm putting on a darker colour, so that will allow me then to put on my highlights later and not worry about darks. Do you understand? Now I'm just going to kind of flick it up and down like that to create the direction of all that stuff going on. Now this will be quite simple, don't worry. Look, I'm just going along creating, because it's all a kind of a grassy area, isn't it? Now I suppose we could just come as far as there. Okay, now we're going to be using the fan brush a lot in a moment, but first I'm going to just pop in some of the trees. There are some lovely, lovely trees over there, and I'm just going to go for, I'm thinking just a simple black. So lots of turpentine, okay? Lots and lots and lots of turpentine. And I will go, let's just put a couple of these in, yeah? So we have a couple kind of coming out here and there. And remember, the bottom half of these is going to be really covered with foliage and all sorts of stuff. It's really kind of covered in on the bottom, isn't it? So don't worry too much about the bottom. I'm just kind of focusing right now on just getting some nice branches in. There we go. And I want to be careful now with these ones. I want to do these nice. So little tiny branches coming off. And of course, as you come down further on the tree, they're going to get slightly thicker, aren't they? It's just a loose impression, that's all. Look, I like to keep in, now anybody who follows me will know that I like to kind of keep everything sort of as an impression. I don't like trying to make something look very realistic. I much prefer this kind of loose style of painting. You know, if it's not your cup of tea, that's fine, but you might get some handy little hints and tips from it, okay? But look, they're here, they're free, and you know, do what you need to do, but just learn something. That's all I'll say. I want you to learn something. Okay, bring that down a little bit thicker. Same with this one. And I might put a hint of light. I might take a kind of a very light green for the light side. So I'm just adding some white into some colour which I already have mixed. That's all, see? And I'll add a little hint of light. Just here and there on some of those. Again, remember, a lot of this will be covered with foliage and all that kind of thing. See, it's just a little hint here and there, that's all. I'm just going to keep it simple, do you understand? Right, for all this kind of very thick grassy area up here, we have two ways. Well, there's lots of different ways, but I use two most common ways. I would use my flat brush like this and flick it up, or the fan brush and flick it up gently as well. Now I'm thinking, just for the beginning, I might use the fan brush just to put some light kind of greens in around up there. I can see some very light greens. So I'm going to make a very light green now, some cadmium yellow, some black and some white. Okay. That's a fairly light green there now, isn't it? Maybe a hint of blue, because the blue will give this distance, so I want blue in this. And I'm just going to go up very subtly, and I'm going to add some lights on some of the bushes up there. There are some lights up there I can see on the reference photograph. I can see a few of them, like little bushy colours off up in the distance. We could even put some of these on the tree, here and there. Okay, just like that. Now, I'm then going to go into some sienna with Naples yellow, and I'm going to start adding little flicks of that here and there, off in the distance, look. Now you don't even have to flick it, sometimes you can just dab, 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 right along, look. And my focus is really just to try and lighten that colour, to get lighter and lighter and lighter, to try and achieve that kind of straw colour. Now this is not far off, this is a nice kind of a straw colour, isn't it? So let's go with that. And there's a bit of a bounce in the canvas, you can see that. Ideally I'd like this to be solid, especially for this kind of work. Some people love using a bouncy canvas like this. It depends on what techniques you're using really. But for something like this, now this kind of technique, I would prefer to have this more of a solid canvas, but really it doesn't matter. I'm not really bothered. I'm not pushed really. I just enjoy doing it whichever way. But I like the stiffness of a canvas board to be able to push and flick, if you know what I mean. Now, let me get some sienna. There's some siennas in there as well, isn't there? Nice hints of sienna. And I'm going to get some dark for around here. I'll go with sienna, and let me get a hint of black, and a touch of cadmium red. I can see some nice dark, rich dark colours around here. So I didn't really mix these colours here now on the palette very much. I just took a hint of each one and allow them to kind of mix on the canvas, especially the sienna. That's quite a nice colour, and it's adding nice colours to the painting. There we are. Just come along here. Now this really is kind of more the filling in kind of stages. I will add lots of lovely little lights to this there now later on, but I just want to kind of get the general area covered. Do you know what I mean? I just want to get the general area filled in with lights and darks, just to have something there to work on. Now I might chance a little bit of crimson. I can see nice little pinky tones in there. So just kind of alternate your brush. Try different techniques with your brush. Okay, we're coming down now. I'm going to start adding some greens into this. So I get some yellow. That's not bad there actually, that's a nice green. Some Naples yellow. Take a bit more yellow in that. Perhaps a touch of sienna. See, I check it on the canvas, and if I find this a little bit too pale, I'll darken it. If I find this a bit too dark, I lighten it. That's kind of generally how I work doing things like this, especially grasses, that kind of thing. So I'll just check a little bit of it. If I feel it needs to be changed, I'll change it. So we're getting the general kind of feeling of this, aren't we? It's just a kind of a very rough kind of an area. Now we have a couple of more dark little branches and things like that going on. So I'll take some brown and some black. Slightly thicker paint now for this. And I'll just add a couple of those. Because this is all kind of in shadow anyway, isn't it? Now I need more turpentine because my turpentine is gone. And I'm going to do this nice big tree up here next. There we go, a little drop of turpentine. So this is a lot of fun now, this is coming on lovely. I hope you're all keeping safe, by the way. I hope you're all keeping in and keeping away from the coronavirus and trying to stay as safe as you can. I hope you're not getting bored, I suppose, more than anything else. But yeah, just try and stay as safe as you can, okay? And remember, don't forget the older folks, the older people that might be living next door to you. Just pop in, see if they're okay. You can just stand at the gate and shout in. You know, I suppose, especially for people who are living on their own, it's nice to know that there's somebody out there who cares about your well-being. Be it family or neighbours, but it's nice to know that there are some people out there who care about you as a person and care about your health. So yeah, do just pop in and say a quick hello. Pop to the shop, pop to the store, pop to the markets, whatever you need, just to pick up a few bits for them. I think the world needs more people like that, just to, you know, go out and help others. Okay, so I'm just kind of going along now with this and putting in lots of little branches. I like the way this one kind of overhangs here. It really looks like a big heavy branch which is about to kind of break off. I like that. And there are lots now. I could spend ages and ages doing this tree. Let me zoom in there slightly for you, okay? Now, there we go. Is that better? And we can take our time and do a bit of work on this tree. Now I'm just going to grab my stick, wherever it is. I had a long stick just for balancing, but no, it's gone. I don't know where it's gone. It's terrible, isn't it? I'm very bad for misplacing things. I'm just going to add little tiny flicks. By the way, it's just a regular, cheap, thin, pointy brush, that's all. It's nothing special. My brushes are just cheap, regular brushes. They're not expensive brushes at all. You don't need expensive brushes. What I learned about when I was growing up and I was painting, what I learned was you don't need to buy expensive materials. I would encourage you to buy relatively good paints, because the paints are what's making a painting, the final result. I would suggest that you buy decent, good quality paints, the best you can afford, because they will pay for themselves in your work and you will see the difference immediately. You know, I've often done lessons here with younger people, and they might use some of the cheaper quality paints, the little student sets for a couple of quid, couple of euros, and then I might have another student next to them using the more expensive paints, and the difference was unbelievable. So do buy good quality paints if you can, okay? But you can by all means just buy regular cheap brushes, regular cheap canvases, and just prime the canvases then, yeah? Don't go buying canvases for 20 euros and don't go buying brushes for 30 euros, you know what I mean? Just buy a cheap set of brushes. And all my brushes here that I use are soft, synthetic brushes, okay? I used to use bristle brushes a very long time ago. When I first started out, it was all bristle. But I kind of tried some of these softer ones then, as well, as I was going, and I just found them wonderful and soft to use, especially the flat ones. So yeah, I've kind of stuck with them then after that, you see. Now I'm going to add some lights to that, using the lighter colour that I mixed earlier. It's just a light kind of a yellowy green colour. And I'm just going to add a couple of highlights here and there to the tree. I suppose, if anything, just to give it a bit of life. Do you know what I mean? That's all. And let's add a couple of highlights to this one here. And we can put a couple around the place up here. Okay, now we're coming along nicely, aren't we? Let's add a little bit of shadow around the base of the tree. And we could add, let's add a bit of interest. Let's say, for example, there's some kind of a log up there. Okay, a little bit of Naples yellow. You've all sorts of logs and bits of wood and all that kind of thing all over the place. And what you could do then is you take a little touch of Naples yellow with your fan brush, just here and there with your fan brush, okay? Look, just a little. And you could just go along and add little bits of this, bits of that. You could even take some Naples yellow with some white and add little hints of light. Can you see this? You can? You can. Little hints of light here and there. So you could imagine there's a light area in the centre. Or even like a kind of a footpath type of a thing. So walking its way up the middle and off into the distance, you see? And this is the perfect brush for this kind of work. It's a perfect, it has just those little firm bristles on the tip. It's lovely for this kind of work. So I'm just going to come down here now and lighten some of these. And then what you could do is, I can see we have some little bunches of dark patches. I'm going to take some, let me just zoom out slightly. Okay, I'm going to take some black and some burnt umber, and I'm just going to give some of these some dark first, okay? Just give them some dark. I want some dark on these. And come down along here. I'm just filling in some of the dark spots first now, because these have very dark clumps in some of them. Okay, like so. Now I'll clean that and put it to one side. Then, if we zoom in slightly, so I'm kind of enjoying now doing the more detailed work as well. It's nice for a change to do something more detailed, isn't it? Rather than just kind of floating along very quickly. I'm going to put some nice little grasses in here. Little grasses. Now, I don't know if this is even small enough. I might need something a little smaller. I don't know if I have it. Let me see. You see, it's very difficult to have a really fine pointy brush. I have one here, look. That might do the job, wouldn't it? What do you think? Now let's put some little lights in here. Some Naples yellow with a little burnt sienna. And I'm using a tiny touch of turpentine, okay? Just to help this flow around. But it's 90% paint. And I have a little kind of a straw colour. I'm just going to put a couple of kind of these flicks coming down. And I really want to take my time with this now, so I'm going to just keep loading the brush constantly, look. Because I'm going right into that darker colour. I'm picking it up. Put a couple up here. And they have a little bit of a flick on the very top of the straws. So I'm going up and flicking, you see? Flicking around. Now you could call this the kind of the medium shade, I suppose. I'll probably go slightly lighter than this in a moment. So this is kind of the medium shade. Now these are foreshortened at the front here, so they're sort of turned towards us. Excuse me. They're sort of turned towards us, you see. So you can only see the front coming down. And this is just an impression now. I don't want to go crazy with grasses and all that kind of thing. It's just a nice impression. I just want to make it look nice. I don't want to be here for 4 hours painting grass. You know what I mean? You can see what I mean. You can see what I'm getting at. Let's take a hint of sienna, actually. The hint of white. Make a nice warm colour. And remember, keep cleaning the brush out. Don't forget to clean the brush out after each time you do this. And it's tricky sometimes to know whether you should put thin paint on or thick paint, because sometimes if you put the thinner paint on, with turpentine I mean, if you put the thinner paint on, it doesn't sit as well as if you're putting on just thick paint on its own. So I'm putting thick paint on its own, you see, and it's sitting much better. But sometimes it's nice to have it a little wet as well. It depends on what exactly you're kind of painting. Do you know what I mean? Put a couple over here. We're getting there now. We're getting the general. You know, it's just a nice impression of the scene. That's all I want. Put a couple of long ones coming over. And once this is dry, I could go along then and put more on top of this. Understand? So you could leave it dry. If you're more comfortable with letting it dry, then just let it dry. If you have the time and the patience. Unfortunately, I don't. I don't have the patience to let these things dry and come back to it in 2 days' time. I just don't have the patience. I love to just keep painting. And that's probably my downfall, if I'm honest, is I don't have patience. I have patience to paint the painting, but I'm just not one of those people who can put my canvas down and come back to it a week later. You know, I like to finish the painting. When the painting is finished, it's finished and that's it. I don't like to keep going back to something over and over again. Is that strange, or is there anybody else like that out there? Please do tell me. I'm not alone. So, coming along now nicely with this. I'm not too worried about the water edge because I'm going to be painting over this with water anyhow. But this is just the effect that I was going after. Now, I go back to my fan brush and I might add a couple of darks in there. I'll use cadmium red with black to create a nice rich dark brown, okay? Let's go back there into that. And a little bit of darkness here and there. Okay, and take a little bit of Naples yellow. Now I may take some sienna with some red and go up here and add a little couple of dabs of that kind of colour, just a bit of warmth up there. And then I may take some Naples yellow and a few of those, and I'm going to clump them together. It's just a nice impression, that's all. Now we have some nice kind of a stone effect going on down here, don't we? Let me zoom back slightly. Okay. There we go. Let's get this nice stone in. And this is quite simple. It's nice, it's kind of a stony bank, isn't it? Let's just get some blue, some crimson, and some white. I'm creating a nice kind of a mauve colour there now. And I'm going to dampen that with just a hint of turpentine. Okay. And into that I'm going to take a hint of black. So we have this nice kind of grey. Nice kind of a grey tone, you see it? But it's a cool grey, it's on the cold side of grey. And I'm trying to kind of match it up as it is on the reference photograph as much as possible. And I'm even going to soften it into the green here and there. Okay, just like that. These things are always more natural when they're softened together slightly, rather than just being a complete separate area. I know a lot of people now, especially people who are kind of learning, will just paint this completely separate and it won't look like it's part of the painting. It'll look more like it's just something that was stuck on the canvas, and that's very important. Now I've just kind of picked up a bit of burnt umber which was on my palette there, look, just a little bit of dirty colour just to put through it, that's all. Okay, see, just like so. And now what I'm going to do is take my fan brush, I'm going to give it a quick clean, so dip it in and give it a good clean. I want to take all of that, well not all of that colour, but most of that greeny colour off. And I'm going to first start with this dry fan brush with some burnt umber and a little black. And I'm just going to kind of start peppering. This is what I call peppering, giving it that rough little pebble stone look. Just a little bit here and there. So it does look quite rough and pebbly, doesn't it? Then I'll clean that, and I'm going to go with some lighter colour. So I'm going to take some blue, some crimson, and a bit of white. And then perhaps a hint of Naples yellow. And I've plenty of white in this, okay? So it's a nice bright pebbly look. And I'm going to go along then, holding my fan brush very gently straight ahead, and I'm going to just add in little lights. Bit more Naples yellow. So you can see now, it's kind of almost merging into the grass, but not quite. Understand what I mean? Now I'm going to put some rocks in there. A couple of rocks. I'm going to clean my little flat brush. I'm going to make up a nice dark grey first. So I'll go with some black, some blue, a little hint of white, and some burnt umber. That gives you a nice grey. Now it's a bluey grey I have here, so maybe add a hint of sienna, a hint of red. I just want to get a dark colour for a couple of rocks, okay? Just like so. And we put a couple, let's put one or two along here, like that. Okay, that'll do fine. I'm then going to move to a very small flat brush, or even a pointy one will do just fine as well, but I'll try the small flat one first. I'll take some of the Naples yellow with white and just come along, give it a hint of light like that. Look. Again, clean the tip of your brush. And I'm even picking up some of the pinky, whitey kind of colour. Soften it back. And I'm just kind of playing around with colours now as well at this stage. Do you understand? I'm not, you know, there's no kind of set rule as to what you're supposed to do with rocks. I think just mess around with colours, try different colours, you know, and see what happens. That's what I like to do. Soften them in. Soften them in at the bottom, you see, so they'll sit nicely on the ground. And let's put a couple of darks. See, it's coming on quite nice now, isn't it? Take some black then, some nice thick black, and let's just add a couple of little details to the rocks. And you could even add a couple of smaller ones as well around it. See? Just little marks, that's all. And then add a little hint of light to some of those. Just pick up a little bit of maybe Naples yellow with white. And just add a little hint of light to some of those. Just here and there, okay? So now we have a nice kind of a natural feeling landscape there, don't we? Let's take a bit of burnt umber, a bit of black, and let's probably pop one or two just to kind of integrate these into the rest of the scene. I don't want to just have rocks in one little pile just on their own. I think it's a good idea always just to add one or two, maybe just kind of here and there, just even little dabs, look, just coming up the painting as well, and that will help with your composition. It just kind of helps tie everything together, do you know what I mean? And I'm just giving them a little hint of light as well. You see, it's just a little flick. That's all. A simple little flick. Soften them into the ground, look, just a little. So they're not just floating in midair. see? And then I'll just add a couple of little flecks of grass here and there. Just to kind of bring it all together, you see? A few little flicks. Isn't this lovely? See, are we going well now? I think we're going very well. I think we've done very, very well so far. I'm very proud of you all. You're doing such fantastic painting and your artwork is fantastic. All of your paintings are fantastic. They really are. You know, you're showing me your work, how you're getting on, and I can see a huge difference, believe it. I can see an amazing difference from what you were, say, 6 months ago to what you're doing now. I think it's absolutely staggering. Some of you are even better than me now at this stage. You're that good. Because I don't proclaim to be a fantastic artist, you know. I just like to show my work to the world and show the world how I create my work. That's all. That's all it is. I'm not, you know, I never think I'm a fantastic artist. I never say my work is outstanding. Sometimes it's silly. Sometimes it doesn't look nice at all. That's just the way painting is. And I accept that. Okay. Let's have a look around and see how we're getting on. I think the tree up there needs to be sat down just slightly. I think it's just not sitting on the ground. I think let's just put a little bit of stuff around it there, just like that. We'll come back to all this later on when we've a lot more done, as they say. We can pop back and we just add a little sienna just here and there to some of those rocks. Give them a little bit more depth. Okay. And we could even add a little sienna with white to the highlights. Again, tying in with the colours, you see. Bringing the colours together. There we go. Right. That is part 2 finished. I think part 2 is finished. We'll come back and work more on trees and stuff in the next part, okay? Let me zoom in and show you what we have created, okay? There we are. Now it's a distant hill with the lovely mist off up in the sky. Isn't that lovely? I'm very happy with that. And we kept everything nice and simple. Simple brush strokes all the way. And then we came over and we did some trees over there. Again, keeping it very, very simple. And then we came down, and it's just a case of adding layers, that's all. And the fan brush really is fantastic for all this kind of thing. It really, really is. So give it a go. Tell me what you think. Also, let me turn the camera here now so you can see myself. And I'm zoomed right in. I shaved my head. What do you think of that? There was no hairdressers open. All the hair salons were closed, so I had to shave my head with the electric razor. What do you think? It's terrible, isn't it? I know, but I don't care. That's life. Join me in part 3 when we finish this. I may make a frame for it. I'll wait and see if I have enough timber and all that kind of stuff. I really enjoyed it. That was lots of fun. Let me know what you think about my haircut. I know it looks a bit funny, doesn't it? I don't know. Maybe it suits me. Who knows? Who knows? Each to their own. Isn't that right? Go on, I hope you've enjoyed it. I'll see you next week with another part of this. We'll finish this. Thank you so much for your support. Subscribe and join Patreon if you wish to support me as well. There's lots more tutorials on Patreon. Go on, God bless. I'll see you again very soon.